Hello and welcome back to Mr. English Lab. My name is Laura, and I'm here to guide you on your journey to clear, confident, and natural English. If you're new here, make sure to hit the subscribe button so you never miss a lesson. Your support truly helps this channel grow. All right, take a deep breath, relax, and let's begin today's session. When you and I begin this story together, imagine that you are walking into a new building on a warm Monday morning, and the sun is bright but soft, the kind of light that makes everything feel possible. And this is the start of your journey into the world of workplace English, a world where people speak quickly, where ideas move fast, where conversations shape the paths of careers, and you are standing right at the entrance with a small voice inside you whispering, "I hope I can do this," and another voice answering softly, "You will," because right now on Mr. English Lab, we are telling a story that is not only a story, but a long, slow practice of English for your listening and speaking muscles. A safe place to understand English the way it is spoken in real workplaces, real offices, and real conversations. You take a deep breath and push the door open, and as you walk inside, you hear the gentle hum of people talking, printers clicking, keyboards tapping, and phones ringing, and even though you do not understand every voice, the rhythm of the place feels alive, like a heartbeat, and as you step forward, you feel something shift in you, as if a new part of your future has just turned on. This is your first day at your new job, and everything looks fresh, unfamiliar, maybe a little scary, but exciting at the same time, and you can feel your hands getting warm because you want to do well, you want to speak clearly, you want to sound confident, and you want others to understand you without asking you to repeat yourself. The story of today begins the moment you walk to the reception desk, and the receptionist looks up with a kind smile and says, "Good morning, how can I help you?" Her voice is soft but quick, and you catch most of it, but not every word, and for a moment your mind freezes, and all the English you practiced in your room seems to disappear. But then you remind yourself that you do not need perfect English to start. You only need simple English, slow English, friendly English, and so you smile and say, "Good morning. It is my first day here. I am starting work today," and she nods and asks for your name. When you tell her, she types it into her computer and says, "Welcome. Someone from the team will come and get you in just a moment." You feel relieved because you survived your first workplace conversation, simple as it was, and while you wait, you pay attention to the voices behind you because they feel like living classroom material, real English from real people, and you think, "This is the English I want to understand. This is the English I want to speak." A tall man with glasses approaches you, and he looks friendly and relaxed, and he says, "Hi, you must be the new team member. I'm Daniel. Nice to meet you." His voice is brighter and faster, and for a second your heart jumps, but you stay calm and say, "Nice to meet you too," and he gestures for you to follow him. As you walk through the office, he talks, and sometimes his words slide past your ears too quickly, but you catch parts like team, projects, welcome, and happy you're here. You nod when you think you should nod, and you smile when he smiles, but inside, you feel a mix of courage and worry, a thought whispering, "What if I misunderstand something important today?" But another thought replies, "You are here to grow, not to be perfect," and you hold on to that. Daniel brings you to a small meeting room with glass walls. You notice a long table, a big screen on the wall, and the soft sound of air conditioning. He introduces you to two other team members, Sarah and Michael, who smile warmly and say hello, and their voices overlap and blend in that typical workplace way where everyone is friendly but busy at the same time. Sarah has a calm voice that you understand well, while Michael speaks faster, and you tell yourself that it's okay if you don't get everything right away because listening is not magic, it is practice. Daniel gives you a small welcome folder, and he explains a few things about the company, and although you understand most of his words, every now and then you hear a phrase you have never heard before, like cross-department request or internal communication flow, and instead of panicking, you stay present, breathing slowly, telling yourself, "This is new, yes, but new things are how we grow." As you sit there, listening, learning, absorbing everything, you feel the story inside you starting to open like a long road ahead. You are not just learning about your new job, you are learning a new type of English, workplace English, the English of instructions, teamwork, deadlines, meetings, problem solving, and everyday conversation at work. It is different from textbook English. It moves fast, it flows naturally, and sometimes it is messy, but it is full of life, and this is the English you need for your future career. Daniel continues explaining the training plan for the week, and you notice how he pauses sometimes, how he checks if you are following, and you appreciate that. Maybe he can sense that English is not your first language, or maybe he is just a kind person, but either way, you feel a little lighter. Then, something unexpected happens. Daniel asks a simple question, "Do you have any experience with project coordination?" And even though you know the answer, your mind becomes empty for a second, because you were only listening, not preparing to speak. You feel your chest tighten, but you remind yourself gently, slow English. Simple English, and you say, "Yes, I have some experience. In my last job, I helped with small projects." Daniel nods and says, "Great. That will help you here." And suddenly you feel relief again, because once more you survived, and not just survived, you communicated. You used your English, your real English, and it worked. Later, the team gives you a small task to start with, something simple, something to help you learn the workflow. They ask you to review a short document and write a brief summary. You move to your new desk, a small space with your name on a sticky note, and you sit down, feeling both nervous and proud, and you open the document on your screen. You read slowly, carefully, and sometimes you stop to check a word because workplace vocabulary can be tricky, but you don't let that stop you. You know that learning is never a straight line. It is a long walk, and you are taking your first steps today. While you work, you overhear conversations around you, someone asking for help, someone giving an update, someone explaining a small mistake, someone planning the next step in a project, and even though it feels too fast for your ears, you realize that the more you listen, the more familiar the sounds become. You start to recognize patterns, phrases, tones, and the rhythm of professional communication. You catch short sentences like, "Could you send me that file later?" Or "We need to follow up with the client," or "Let's discuss this in the meeting," and each one feels like a tiny piece of a puzzle sliding into place. Around midday, Daniel comes back and asks, "How's everything going so far?" And you smile and say, "Good. I am learning," and he nods as if that is exactly what he hoped to hear. He invites you to lunch with the team, and you walk with them to a small cafe across the street. The air outside is warm, and the sound of cars moving slowly in the city makes everything feel real, like you are part of something bigger now. At the cafe, the conversation begins easily, but then it becomes faster, more natural, and at moments you lose the thread, but you stay calm and listen, letting the voices flow like music. And then, during a pause, Sarah asks, "So, what made you choose this job?" And you breathe in slowly and answer with simple English, telling your story carefully but confidently, and they listen, nodding, smiling, and you feel seen, you feel valid, you feel like you belong. After lunch, you return to the office, and the afternoon is quieter, more focused. You work on your summary, check it twice, and then send it to Daniel. He replies quickly, saying, "Nice job," and those two words feel like fuel in your heart. You realize that small victories matter. You realize that progress in English is not about perfection, it is about communication. It is about moments like this, moments where you express yourself and someone understands you. As the day moves toward the evening, you start to feel tired, but it is the good kind of tired, the tiredness that comes from growth. You stand near the window and look outside at the soft, golden light of the afternoon, and you reflect on everything that happened today. The first conversation at reception, meeting the team, the document you worked on, the lunch chat, the small challenges, the small victories. All of these moments are shaping your journey, and you tell yourself quietly, I can do this. I can grow. I can become strong in English. You pack your things slowly, and as you walk toward the exit, Daniel waves and says, "See you tomorrow," and his voice feels warm, like a welcome. When you step outside, the air feels cooler, calmer, and as you walk down the street, you think about how the story of your English is changing. It is no longer just about learning words. It is about learning to live through English, to work through English, to connect through English. It is about confidence, not grammar. It is about understanding, not perfection. It is about becoming someone who can stand in a room of fast English speakers and still feel strong. And as you continue walking, you realize something important. Today was not just your first day at work. It was your first day in a new language life, a new chapter of you. And this chapter will continue, page by page, step by step, conversation by conversation. This story is just beginning, and you are ready for it. You are growing in the world of workplace English, and with every hour, every sentence, every challenge, you become more fluent, more confident, more capable. And as this section closes, you remind yourself gently, tomorrow I will learn more. Tomorrow I will speak more. Tomorrow I will be better. This is your journey with Mr. English Lab, and this is just the beginning. The next morning arrives with a soft sky, the kind of early light that makes everything feel a little quiet, a little gentle, as if the world wants you to take your time before stepping into the noise of the day. You wake up feeling a mixture of excitement and nervous energy, thinking about your second day at work, thinking about the English you will hear, thinking about the conversations you will have. And you take a slow breath because you know that every new day is another chance to grow. As you walk out the door and head toward the office, you notice how your feelings are different from yesterday. Yes, you are still nervous, but there is also a small spark of confidence inside you, a quiet voice saying, I survived the first day. I can survive today too. When you reach the building and step inside, the familiar sound of voices and footsteps feels a little less intimidating now, and this time, when the receptionist greets you with a warm, good morning, you answer smoothly without needing to think too much. You make your way to your desk, and before you even sit down, Daniel approaches with a smile and says, We have a team meeting this morning. You're welcome to join us and just listen. It's a good chance to learn how we communicate. The word meeting hits you with both curiosity and fear because meetings are one of the most challenging parts of workplace English. People speak quickly, they interrupt each other, they debate, they brainstorm, and sometimes they speak in fragments or half sentences, and understanding all of that feels like a mountain. But you nod with determination and say, Yes, I'd like to join, and Daniel's smile widens as if he is genuinely glad you are here. You sit at your desk for a moment before the meeting starts, and you open your email. There is a message from Sarah saying, Welcome again. Let me know if you need anything today, and you feel supported, which is important because emotional safety helps language grow. You take a sip of water and look around the office, watching people prepare for their day. Some are typing quickly, some are stretching, some are talking quietly with colleagues, and all of this feels like a living English lesson. You remind yourself that listening is learning, and every sound is training your brain to understand the rhythm of workplace communication. When it is time for the meeting, Daniel leads you to a larger room this time, one with a long oval table and chairs around it. There is a big screen on the wall showing the company logo, and the soft clicking sound of a laptop setting up fills the room. People walk in one by one, greeting each other with friendly, "Good morning," and "How are you?" and "Ready for today?" And although your English is good, the speed at which these greetings happen forces you to focus carefully, like you are listening for pieces of a puzzle. You take a seat near the corner of the table where you can watch everyone clearly, and Daniel sits next to you. He leans slightly toward you and whispers in a calm voice, "Just listen today. Don't worry about taking notes. It's your chance to understand the flow of our meetings." His words reduce your anxiety, and you breathe a little deeper. Soon the room quiets down, and the manager, a woman named Laura, begins the meeting with a warm but professional tone. "Good morning, everyone. Let's go through our updates for the week." Her voice is clear, steady, and easier to understand than some of the others. She starts by explaining some project goals, and as you listen, you find yourself catching more than you expect. There are words you know well: deadline, schedule, progress, plan, and teamwork, and you feel encouraged. But then she uses words like deliverables and stakeholders, and you mentally pause for a second, not because you panic, but because you know that learning new vocabulary is part of today's journey. You let her voice guide you without trying to understand every small detail. Then the team members begin giving their updates. Michael speaks first, and as expected, he talks quickly, his sentences flowing one after another without long pauses. He says things like, "We're almost done with the first draft, but we need feedback before we can move forward, and there's a small issue with the client request that we're waiting to clarify," and although he speaks fast, you start catching the main ideas because you are listening for keywords. You learn something important in this moment. In workplace English, you don't need to understand everything. You need to understand the big picture. After Michael, Sarah gives her update, and her voice is slow and steady, almost perfect for your level. She explains her tasks clearly, and you feel yourself relaxing a bit because this part feels comfortable. Then Daniel speaks, giving a quick overview of what he and you worked on yesterday. He mentions your name briefly, saying, "Our new team member completed the summary and did a good job with it," and you feel a small warm glow inside your chest because being recognized like this makes you feel seen, makes you feel like you are part of the team. As the meeting continues, you begin to notice patterns. People often start their updates with phrases like, "This week we are focusing on," or "One challenge we faced was," or "We are waiting for," or "We need to coordinate with," and each time someone uses these phrases, you quietly repeat them in your mind because these are phrases you want to use one day too. Slowly, you begin to feel that you are not outside the conversation anymore. You are inside the room, inside the flow, inside the English. But then the meeting takes a small turn. The manager asks the team to discuss a new problem that came up with a project deadline. Suddenly, the room becomes more active. People jump in with ideas, questions, concerns. The pace speeds up. Voices overlap. Some people speak softly, some loudly, some confidently. The conversation becomes a wave of fast English, and even though you try to follow, there are moments when you are completely lost. You sit there quietly, eyes moving from speaker to speaker, trying to read their expressions, trying to catch meaning from tone, from gestures, from the few words you recognize. A feeling of frustration rises inside you, but you breathe slowly and remind yourself, this is normal. This is not a test. This is real English, and real English is messy. The discussion goes on, and gradually, very gradually, you start catching pieces. Someone says deadline pressure, someone says need more time, someone says find another solution, someone says let's prioritize. These words anchor you. They help you understand the general idea. The team is trying to solve a timing problem. And suddenly you realize something important. Understanding the main idea is more important than understanding every single sentence. You feel a small shift inside you, a realization that will change the way you listen from now on. When the meeting ends, everyone begins leaving the room, chatting lightly. Daniel stays behind for a moment and asks you, "How was that?" You tell him honestly it was interesting. Some parts were easy. Some parts were very hard. And he smiles reassuringly and says, "That's exactly how it should feel on day 2. You're doing great. Just keep listening." Little by little, everything will feel more natural. His confidence in you gives you strength, and you walk back to your desk with a sense of progress. Later in the morning, Daniel assigns you another small task, helping prepare a short list of questions for a client meeting later in the week. At first, this task feels intimidating because client meetings sound serious, but he tells you not to worry and just start with simple questions. You open a document and begin writing things like, "What is your main goal for this project? And do you have any examples you like? And is there anything you want to change in the plan?" As you write, you begin to notice how simple questions can be very powerful and how workplace English does not need to be complicated to be effective. As you work, you listen to the office sounds around you again, and they feel a little friendlier today. You hear someone saying, "Can we meet later?" and someone else saying, "I'll send it right now," and these familiar sentences give you comfort. Language is repetition, and repetition brings confidence. Around midday, Sarah passes by your desk and asks, "How are you feeling today?" And you answer clearly, "Better. I understand more today," and she smiles happily, saying, "That's wonderful. It takes time, but you're doing really well." At lunch, you go with the team again, and today you listen a little more closely and you understand a little more than yesterday. You catch jokes you didn't catch before. You hear small stories about weekend plans or cooking or traffic, and you begin to realize that workplace English is not only about meetings and tasks. It is also about human connection, small talk, shared stories, and friendly moments. These moments help you feel included, help you feel like you belong. After lunch, the afternoon is quiet again. You finish your task, send it to Daniel, and he gives you quick feedback, saying, "These questions are great. Clear and simple. Perfect for a first draft." And you smile because simple English is your strength, not your weakness. You begin to feel that you can be good at this job, not just by knowing English, but by being thoughtful, careful, and steady. Later, near the end of the day, the manager walks by your desk and says, "Welcome again. We're happy to have you." Her voice is warm but professional, and her words make you stand a little straighter. You think about the meeting earlier, how intense it felt, how fast it moved, and yet here you are, not lost, not discouraged, but learning, growing, moving forward. As you pack your things and walk toward the exit, you reflect on the day. You think about the feeling of sitting in that meeting room, the challenge of fast English, the moments when you understood and the moments when you didn't. You think about how listening is like swimming in deep water. At first you feel like you cannot breathe, but slowly you learn to float, then move, then swim. And today, you floated a little better. When you step outside, the sky is turning golden again, just like yesterday, and you walk slowly, feeling tired but proud. You whisper to yourself, "Today was hard, but today was good." You feel your confidence growing, not loudly, not all at once, but quietly, gently, like a tree growing a new branch. And you know that tomorrow, you will grow a little more. This is your journey with Mr. English Lab, and section by section, story by story, your English is becoming stronger, clearer, and more natural. And as this day ends, you realize something beautiful. You are no longer just learning English. You are living in English. On your third morning, the air feels different, lighter somehow, as if the world knows you are slowly becoming a new version of yourself and wants to support you gently. When you wake up, you don't feel as nervous as you did on day 1, and you don't feel as overwhelmed as you did during yesterday's fast meeting. Instead, you feel something new, a tiny spark of stability inside you, a feeling that whispers, "I am getting used to this." You take a slow breath, stretch your arms, and prepare for another day of English, another day of learning how to communicate, how to listen, how to understand, how to speak with courage. On your way to the office, the quiet morning buses, the slow footsteps around you, and the soft city sounds make you think about how far you've come even in just 2 days. You remind yourself that growth doesn't always feel like excitement. Sometimes growth feels like calmness, like a gentle step forward, like understanding one more sentence than yesterday. When you step into the office, the first person you see is Michael, the fast speaker from the meeting. He waves at you casually and says, "Hey, morning. Big day today. We're sending the new proposal draft to the client, and even though he speaks quickly as usual, you understand almost everything." You smile, and in that moment, you realize something surprising. Your ears are already becoming stronger. You are adjusting. You're not just learning vocabulary, you're learning rhythm. You greet him and head to your desk. There's an energy in the office today, a quiet but focused excitement, and you can feel it in the way people type, the way they walk, the way they talk. You sit down and open your computer, and almost immediately, Daniel appears with a small smile. "Morning," he says. "I want to give you a chance to help with something important today." The moment he says those words, your heart jumps because important usually means challenging, but you look at him and nod. You are ready to try. He explains that the team is preparing a message to send to the client along with the proposal draft, and he wants you to help by checking the message for clarity. Your job, he says, is to read it and tell me if anything feels confusing, too long, or not clear. Think of yourself as the first reader. You blink, surprised, because this means that your English, your simple English, is useful, valuable, needed. You take the responsibility seriously. Daniel sends you the draft message, and you begin reading it slowly. The message is polite, professional, and full of those formal business expressions that sometimes feel like puzzles. Phrases like, "Attached please find," "for your review," "as per our discussion," and "should you have any questions," appear one after another. You read the whole email twice, then a third time. And then you notice something. One sentence is very long. Too long. Long enough that your eyes feel tired just moving across it. You mark it and think carefully about how to explain this to Daniel, because speaking up in a workplace can be intimidating, especially in a second language. But you know this is your chance to practice professional communication. When Daniel returns to your desk, you take a slow breath and say, "I think the message is good. But one sentence is a little long. Maybe it can be shorter." Daniel leans closer to look at the sentence you highlighted, nods quickly, and smiles. "You're absolutely right," he says. "Good catch." You feel warm inside. You just improved something important. You contributed. You were useful. And your English, the English you doubted so many times, helped the team. You realize that being a good communicator isn't always about knowing big words. It's about clarity, honesty, and confidence. After this small success, Daniel invites you to join a quick planning session for the proposal. It's not a formal meeting, just a small group conversation near Sarah's desk. You join them, standing quietly at first, listening as Sarah explains a part of the project. Her voice, as always, is easy to follow, and you feel comfortable. Then Michael adds a few details, speaking quickly again. But this time, something surprising happens. Even though he speaks fast, your mind begins to fill in the missing pieces automatically. You don't understand every single word, but you understand enough to follow the flow, enough to stay inside the conversation instead of outside of it. That feeling is powerful. It feels like you're learning to swim in deeper water, not by magic, but by staying calm and trusting your growing skills. Then the conversation pauses, and Daniel turns to you and asks, "What do you think about the email? Does it sound clear?" Everyone looks at you, waiting for your answer. A small wave of fear moves through your chest, because speaking in front of more than one person still scares you a little. But you don't step back. You hold on to the calmness you've been building, and you speak slowly. "Yes, I think it is clear. I made one suggestion about a sentence. But overall, it is simple and easy to understand." And to your surprise, the team nods, genuinely listening to you, genuinely valuing what you said. You found your voice today, not loudly, not perfectly, but clearly, and clarity is one of the strongest things you can bring to a workplace. As the morning continues, you work on a small internal document, rewriting short sentences to make them easier to read. While you do this, you overhear a conversation a few desks away. Two team members are discussing a problem with a project timeline. Normally, you might ignore it, but today, you decide to listen carefully, almost like an exercise. You hear phrases you've heard before: reschedule, update the plan, check availability, send an email, and ask for approval, and each phrase feels like a familiar friend. You suddenly realize that workplace English is repetitive. It uses the same patterns again and again, and by listening every day, you can slowly become fluent in those patterns. That realization gives you a sudden, unexpected sense of hope. It means that learning workplace English is not impossible. It is predictable. And predictable things are learnable. Around lunchtime, Sarah walks by and says, "We're going to the cafe again. Want to join?" And this time you don't hesitate at all. At the cafe, the conversation feels different from the last 2 days. You are still listening more than speaking, but you are following almost every sentence now. Even when someone speaks quickly, your mind doesn't freeze anymore. It adapts. It tries. It catches meaning. You laugh at a joke that Michael makes, and everyone looks pleasantly surprised. Not because you laughed, but because they can see that you are becoming more comfortable, more connected, more present in the group. You are no longer just the new team member. You are becoming part of the team. After lunch, Daniel asks you to help him prepare for tomorrow's client call. At first, the words "client call" make your stomach drop slightly because calls are harder than meetings. No face expressions, no gestures, just voices. But Daniel says you will only be listening, not speaking, and that makes you feel safe enough to join. He shows you the agenda and explains what the client expects. As he speaks, you notice how clearly he organizes information. You listen not only to the English, but also to the structure, the way he moves from point to point. You think, "I want to speak like that one day." And inside your mind, a new sense of direction forms. Suddenly, something unexpected happens. The manager, Laura, walks over and says, "We need to prepare a quick summary of today's progress. Could you help me write the first version?" For a moment, your heart races because writing for the manager feels like a big responsibility, but she looks at you with calm confidence, and that gives you courage. She sits with you for a few minutes and explains the main points: what was completed, what is still in progress, and what needs attention. You listen carefully, taking mental notes, and then you begin writing. Simple sentences. Clear sentences. Sentences you know you can trust. When you finish, you show the summary to her, and she reads it in silence. This moment feels long, longer than it really is, and you wait, hoping she won't find too many mistakes. When she finally looks up, she smiles slowly and says, "Very good. Clean. Clear. Easy to read." You almost melt with relief. She makes 2 small edits and then thanks you. The warm feeling from earlier returns, stronger this time. It hits you that you are not only learning English here, you are proving to yourself that you can contribute in a meaningful way, even with simple language. This moment stays with you like a quiet trophy in your heart. The rest of the afternoon passes peacefully. You continue listening, reading, responding to small messages, learning step by step. As the day approaches its end, the office becomes quieter. People begin stretching, closing laptops, and preparing to leave. You sit for a moment at your desk, reflecting on everything that happened today. You think about speaking up during the planning session, about helping with the client email, about understanding conversations more clearly, about writing the summary for the manager. All these moments are pieces of a larger story, your story of finding your voice at work. When you finally stand up to go home, you feel taller. Not physically, but inside. You feel like someone who is beginning to belong. You say goodbye to a few colleagues, and their voices sound familiar now, comforting even. You walk outside into the soft evening light, and as you walk toward the bus stop, you think about how your English didn't improve suddenly, it improved gently, steadily, quietly, through small moments of courage. And that is how real growth happens. You whisper to yourself, I am learning. I am growing. I am becoming confident, and the simple truth of those words gives you strength. You feel proud of yourself, not because you were perfect, but because you tried, because you spoke, because you listened, because you didn't run away from fear. And as this section ends, you know deep in your heart that tomorrow will bring new challenges, new conversations, new English, and you are ready for them. On the fourth morning of your journey, the air feels a little heavier, not in a bad way, but in that way before something important happens, like the quiet stillness before a big conversation. You wake up earlier than usual, your mind already thinking about the client call you will listen to today. Even though you know you don't have to speak during the call, the idea of listening to native speakers talking fast, using professional words, making decisions in real time, all of that makes your stomach feel tight. You sit on the edge of your bed and take one slow breath, then another. It's okay, you tell yourself softly. I will just listen. I will learn. And there is something powerful about saying that out loud. It makes the fear feel a little smaller, a little softer. On your way to work, the city seems a little louder, as if the world is awake before you are. You watch the people around you, some walking quickly, some talking on the phone, some sipping coffee, all of them moving through their own stories, their own pressures, their own challenges. And you think, maybe everyone is nervous about something today. That thought comforts you. It reminds you that you are not alone in your fears. When you reach the office, the familiar sounds welcome you, the gentle tapping of keyboards, the soft hum of printers, the distant ring of a phone. The environment feels less foreign now, like a place you are slowly learning to breathe in. And when you see Daniel walking toward you with his usual warm smile, your shoulders relax just a little. Good morning, he says in that calm voice that makes everything feel normal. Are you ready to sit in on the client call later? You swallow softly and say, yes. I'm ready to listen. He nods with approval. That's all you need to do. Just listen. Try to catch the main points. Don't worry about every detail. His words land gently inside you, like soft stones building a foundation. You sit at your desk and prepare yourself for the day. The call is scheduled for late morning, so you have a little time to settle in, check your email, and warm up your English brain. As you go through your messages, you see one from Sarah asking if you can help her organize a small set of notes for the meeting next week. It's a simple task, rearranging information, making sure the points are logical, writing short connecting phrases like first, next, after that, and finally. These simple linking words feel like old friends, and doing this task helps you feel grounded, steady. While you work, your ears stay open to the conversations around you, which have become part of your daily practice. You hear someone say, I'll follow up this afternoon, another person say, let's double-check the numbers, and someone else say, I'll keep you updated. These repeated phrases help you feel more comfortable, more prepared. Then, as you're finishing your notes, Laura, the manager, approaches your desk. She smiles politely and says, This morning's call might move quickly, but don't worry. Just focus on the big ideas. Hearing her say this makes you feel seen, as if she understands your journey even without you explaining it. Her kindness gives you a quiet courage, and you thank her softly. She walks away, and you sit there for a moment, closing your eyes, preparing yourself gently for what is coming. Finally, the moment arrives. Daniel signals that it's time to join him in the small meeting room for the call. The room feels slightly cooler, quieter, more serious. There is a speakerphone in the middle of the table and a small notepad in front of each seat. Daniel sits next to you and whispers, "Just relax. No pressure." But even with his reassurance, your heartbeat feels a little faster. You sit up straight, take a slow breath, and look at the screen where the agenda is displayed. For simple points. You read them slowly, letting them settle into your mind. Then the call begins. At first, you hear nothing but the soft digital sound of the line connecting. Then you hear a voice, the client, clear, confident, talking quickly but politely. "Good morning, everyone," the voice says, and you try your best to stay open, calm, and present. Daniel responds, greeting the client, introducing the team briefly, and thanking them for joining. His voice is warm, professional, steady. You watch him closely, noticing how he speaks not just his words, but his tone, his pace, his confidence. You think to yourself, one day, I want to sound calm like that. The client begins speaking about the progress of the project. Their voice is fast, but not impossible. You catch phrases like last week's update, moving in the right direction, a few adjustments, needs more clarity, and timeline concerns. You focus on these keywords and let the rest flow past you like a river. You don't panic. You don't freeze. You just listen. Daniel takes notes calmly, and every now and then he leans forward to say things like, "Yes, we can do that, understood. We'll make the changes, and thank you for the feedback." His responses help you understand even more, because he repeats the important ideas in slightly simpler language. Then the client asks a question, and there is a short silence in the room. Daniel glances at Sarah's notes, nods, and answers the question clearly. You understand most of what he says, and that makes you feel a small lift of confidence. But then the client changes direction and asks about something more technical, something that includes words you've never heard before. For a moment, your brain feels like it shuts down. The sound becomes fast, blurred, heavy. You hear nothing clearly. Only noise. Only stress. Your chest tightens. But then you remind yourself of what Daniel said. Just focus on the big ideas. And you remind yourself of what you learned during your first meeting. You don't need every sentence. You only need the meaning. You let the pressure go and listen again, softer this time, without trying too hard. Slowly, you catch small phrases, data, format, adjustments, timeline, updated file. And from those pieces, you understand the main point. The client wants an updated version with a new format. That's enough. You didn't understand everything, but you understood something. And something is progress. The call continues for another 20 minutes. Sometimes you catch everything. Sometimes you catch nothing. But you stay present, breathing slowly, letting the English move around you like wind. And then, unexpectedly, the client says a sentence that you understand completely. Not just the words, the meaning, the tone, the intention. It feels like a small gift, like a spark inside your chest. You almost smile, but you stay focused. When the call ends, Daniel thanks the client, and the line disconnects. The room falls into a soft silence. Daniel turns to you with a gentle expression. "How is that?" he asks. You look at him and answer honestly, "Some parts were hard. Some parts one understood. I tried to catch the main ideas." And he nods with genuine approval. "That's perfect," he says. "That's exactly how it works." Even native speakers don't understand every detail in every meeting. You did well. His words make something inside you relax, as if a tight knot has loosened. You breathe deeper and feel a quiet pride rising from somewhere deep inside you. The rest of the morning passes with small conversations about the next steps. People discuss what needs to be updated, what needs to be rewritten, what needs to be clarified. You help Daniel rewrite some of the simpler parts of the document. He asks your opinion about phrasing, and when he does, you feel respected, trusted, valued. You give your thoughts slowly, carefully, and he listens. Truly listens. This makes you feel like a real part of the team. When lunchtime arrives, you walk with the team again, but today you feel more connected than on any previous day. The conversation flows around you like warm water, and you understand bigger pieces now. Sarah asks you, "What did you think of the call?" And you answer honestly, "It was fast. But I understood more than I expected." She smiles and says, "It gets easier. You're doing great." And you believe her. For the first time, you believe that one day, these calls won't feel terrifying. One day, they might even feel natural. In the afternoon, as the team works on revisions based on the call, you help with the simpler tasks, rewriting short sentences, checking small details, organizing the structure. Every time you complete something, you feel more confident. Every time Daniel or Sarah thanks you, that confidence grows. But the real transformation happens near the end of the day, when Laura stops by your desk again. She places a printed document gently in front of you and says, "Could you read this and tell me if anything feels unclear?" At first, you think you misheard her. But she waits patiently, and you realize she truly wants your opinion. When a manager asks for your clarity, it means she trusts your sense of readability. You read the document slowly, marking one sentence that feels too long and another that feels confusing. When you show her the notes, she studies them, then looks at you with a warm expression and says, "Good observations." "Thank you." These words feel like sunlight inside your chest. You helped again. You contributed again. You mattered again. By the time the day ends, your mind feels tired, but not from stress, from effort. The kind of effort that builds something inside you. You pack your things slowly, feeling the gentle soreness of growth. You walk out of the building into the soft evening air, and you take one slow breath of the cool breeze. You feel proud, deeply proud. As you walk toward the bus stop, you replay the day in your mind, the call, the moments of confusion, the moments of understanding, the moments of quiet courage. You whisper to yourself, "I did it. I learned something today." And that whisper feels like a promise to your future self. You realize something important as the sky turns gold. Courage is not loud. Courage is quiet. Courage is sitting in a room full of fast English and choosing to stay. Courage is listening even when your heart is shaking. Courage is trusting that understanding will grow if you give it time. And you gave it time today. This is your journey with Mr. English Lab, and step by step, sentence by sentence, call by call, you are becoming stronger. You are not the same person you were on day one. And tomorrow, you will grow even more. On the 5th morning of your journey, the air feels cool and fresh, as if the world is giving you a calm moment before things become a little more complicated. You wake up with a quieter mind today, not full of fear or worry, but full of gentle awareness. You know by now that every workday brings something new, a new voice, a new word, a new challenge, and instead of feeling scared, you feel ready, or at least ready enough. You sit on the edge of your bed, breathe slowly, and think about how much you've learned in just a few days. The English that felt impossible on day one now feels like something you can walk through. Not perfectly, not smoothly, but bravely. And bravery is enough. On your way to the office, the morning light feels soft on your face. You walk the same path you've been taking all week, but today it feels familiar, almost comforting, like a gentle reminder that progress takes shape in routines. The closer you get to the office, the more your thoughts settle, preparing you for the day ahead. You think about yesterday's client call and how you survived it, not perfectly, not easily, but successfully. You think about Daniel, Sarah, Michael, and Laura, each of them offering small moments of support, understanding, encouragement. And as you reach the entrance of the building, you feel a small smile forming, not because you expect an easy day, but because you know you can handle a difficult one. When you step inside, the office is a little louder than usual. There is a different sort of energy in the air: fast footsteps, quick conversations, subtle tension. People seem focused, busy, slightly stressed. You walk to your desk, noticing the serious expressions on a few faces, and before you can ask what's happening, Daniel appears, holding a few papers in his hand. He gives you a small nod and says, "Morning. Big day. We have a challenge." The word challenge sends a small shiver through your stomach, but you stay calm and wait for him to explain. He places the papers on your desk and says, "The client sent feedback late last night. They want several changes to the proposal, and we need to make the updates by the end of the day." You look at the papers carefully, read comments, suggestions, questions, requests. Some are simple. Some are complicated. Some use vocabulary you've never seen before. You swallow softly, but Daniel notices the worry in your eyes and reassures you. "Don't worry. We're all working on this together. I'm giving you one part of it. A small part, but important." He shows you a section of the proposal that needs rewriting. Not the whole thing, just 2 paragraphs. They need to be simplified, clarified, and made more client-friendly, as Daniel puts it. You read the paragraphs slowly. They are long, heavy, and full of business words that feel like tangled branches, words like initiative, implementation, strategic overview, and operational scope. You understand some of them. Some you don't. But you don't panic. You take a breath and say, "I can try." Daniel smiles, not expecting perfection, only effort. "That's all we need," he says. You start working. You read the first paragraph again and again. You try to understand the main meaning. You try to break it into smaller ideas. You highlight the key sentences. You open your dictionary for 1 or 2 words, but you don't get lost in definitions. Instead, you think about what the client really needs: simple, clear English. And simple English is something you trust. Slowly, you begin rewriting the paragraph. Shorter sentences, clearer thoughts, fewer complicated words. You write 1 sentence, then delete it, then write again. It's not easy. Your mind works hard to connect meaning and expression. But little by little, something begins to appear on your screen, something simpler, cleaner, clearer. Then you start the second paragraph, which is a little more complicated. It talks about coordination, communication, expected results, and team responsibilities. You read it 3 times, trying to understand the flow. You break it into points. You start rewriting. You feel the pressure around you. The office is busier, the energy tighter, but you keep going. You take your time. You breathe. You write. You rewrite. You focus on clarity. You focus on intention. And slowly, the paragraph becomes readable, understandable, simple. When you finish the 2 paragraphs, you sit back for a moment, feeling both tired and proud. You know it's not perfect, but you also know it's honest and clear, and clarity is what the team needs right now. You send it to Daniel with a short message: "Here is the new version." Then you wait, wondering if you did well or if you misunderstood something important. A few minutes later, Daniel appears at your desk. He's holding the printed version of your rewrite, and his expression is thoughtful. You hold your breath slightly. But then he looks up, nods slowly, and smiles. "This is good," he says. "Very good, actually. You made it clearer than the original. Simple but strong." His words feel like warm sunlight inside your chest. You exhale softly and smile. Thank you, you say, and you mean it deeply. Then he asks, are you ready for more? You blink, surprised. More. But he nods. Yes. You did well with this part. I think you can help with another small section. He gives you a short list of sentences that need to be rewritten. This time they are shorter, easier, more manageable. You begin working again, and as you do, you feel something shifting inside you, a sense of responsibility, a sense of belonging, a sense that you are truly part of the team now, not just watching from the side. As the morning turns into noon, the office becomes even busier. Sarah is working quickly, Michael is talking fast on the phone, and Laura is moving between desks, checking progress. Everyone is focused, and you are part of that focus. When lunchtime arrives, no one leaves the office. People eat at their desks, typing between bites. Daniel gives you a small chocolate bar and says, "Here. Energy." You laugh softly and thank him. You eat your lunch quietly while continuing your tasks, feeling the weight of the day, but also the importance of your contribution. In the afternoon, something unexpected happens. Laura approaches your desk again. She looks calm but serious. She holds a document in her hand, the client comments, and she says, "I noticed one of the rewritten sections you worked on. It's very clear. Good job." You almost freeze. The manager noticed your work. She saw your writing. She liked it. You feel your chest warm with pride. "Thank you," you say quietly, and she gives a small nod before walking away to continue managing the team. That moment stays with you, shining gently inside you like a small flame. Later, Daniel asks if you can join a short internal discussion. It's not a full meeting, just a quick conversation about how to answer one of the client's questions. You join the group, Daniel, Sarah, and Michael. They start discussing options, and you listen carefully, trying to follow. Sometimes you understand everything. Sometimes you only catch pieces. They talk about timelines, responsibilities, possible solutions, and small concerns. And then, surprisingly, Sarah turns to you and asks, "What do you think? Does the answer sound clear?" You're surprised. No one has ever asked for your opinion in a fast conversation like this. You take a slow breath, calm your nerves, and say, "Yes, I think it is clear. Maybe the second sentence can be shorter." They look at the sentence, then nod. Michael shortens it immediately. Your suggestion helped again. As the day moves toward evening, the team begins to finalize the updated proposal. Daniel prints the last version and hands you a copy. "Take a quick look," he says. "Tell me if anything feels unclear." You read it slowly, carefully. You find one small phrase that feels too long, and you point it out. Daniel fixes it right away. "Good eye," he says. And you feel proud again. When the final version is ready, Laura sends it to the client. The room feels lighter instantly, as if everyone can breathe again. The job is done for the day. The challenge is over. And you are part of it, not just watching, not just practicing, but actively helping. Contributing, improving. As people begin to pack their things, Daniel stops by your desk one more time. His expression is calm and sincere. "You did really well today," he says. "This was not an easy day. But you stayed focused. You helped the team. Your writing was clear and useful. You should feel proud." And you do. Deeply. When you leave the office, the sky outside is soft and warm, the golden color of evening spreading across the street. You walk slowly, replaying the day in your mind, the paragraphs you rewrote, the sentences you fixed, the suggestions you made, the moments of fear, the moments of courage, and the moment the manager praised your work. Each memory feels like a step upward, a step into a stronger version of yourself. As you walk toward home, you whisper a small truth to yourself: "I can do hard things." And that simple sentence feels like a new piece of your identity, a new part of your confidence, a new quiet strength. You realize that learning English at work isn't only about grammar or vocabulary. It's about courage. It's about being part of something even when you feel unsure. It's about trusting yourself enough to try, again and again. And you tried today, not perfectly, not fearlessly, but honestly. And honesty is strong. On the sixth morning of your journey, something feels different before you even open your eyes. It's not fear. It's not stress. It's something quieter and deeper, like the soft sound of a new chapter turning by itself. You lie there for a moment, listening to your own breathing, feeling the calmness inside your chest. You think about everything that has happened this week, your first meeting, the client call, the big challenge yesterday, and for the first time, you don't feel like a beginner anymore. You feel like someone who is learning, improving, growing. Someone who belongs. You sit up slowly, stretch your arms, and whisper, "Let's see what today brings." On your way to the office, the morning feels brighter than usual. The sky looks clear, the people around you seem calmer, and even the air feels warmer. You breathe it in with slow comfort. You take the same path as always, past the bakery, past the bus stop, across the street, around the corner, but everything feels a little more familiar, a little less intimidating. You're not walking into the unknown anymore. You are walking into a place where you have already learned, contributed, and overcome challenges. The thought makes your steps feel lighter. When you enter the office, the atmosphere is softer than yesterday. People are smiling, talking in normal voices, moving at normal speed. The storm from the previous day has passed, and you can feel the whole team breathing again. You take your seat at your desk, turn on your computer, and feel a quiet readiness settling into your body. You think you know what today will be, a simple day, a normal day, maybe a calm day. But you're wrong. Today has something unexpected waiting for you. Daniel walks toward your desk with a mug of coffee in his hand. He gives you that familiar, friendly smile, the one that always makes you feel safe. "Morning," he says. "How are you feeling today?" You smile back. "Good. A little tired, but good." He nods. "Makes sense. Yesterday was a big day for everyone." He sits down in the chair next to your desk and looks at you with a thoughtful expression. And then he says the sentence you never expected to hear. "We have a small presentation this afternoon, and I want you to join us." Your whole body freezes for a moment. A presentation. The word echoes inside your head like a loud bell. You repeat it silently to yourself, presentation. You swallow softly and ask, "Join?" "How?" Daniel explains gently, "Don't worry. You don't have to speak. Not yet. But I want you to listen, observe, and help us prepare one small part." The knot in your stomach loosens just a little. You exhale slowly. "Okay," you say. "I can listen." He smiles. "Good. That's all I need from you today. Just listen and help with a small part." He hands you a printed document, the presentation outline. It has 3 main parts. The first part is an introduction about the project. The second part is a progress update. And the third part is a short demonstration of one feature. Daniel points to the third part and says, "I want you to help me make this section clearer. Just a little. The explanation is okay, but it needs to be more simple." You look at the paragraph. It's short, maybe 6 or 7 sentences. You read it gently, slowly, letting the meaning sink in. It's about showing the client how something works. You understand most of it. Some sentences feel long. Some feel too technical. But you can see what needs to be changed. You tell Daniel softly, "I can rewrite this in simple English." And he nods with approval. "Perfect. That's exactly what I need." You begin rewriting. You take your time, thinking about how to make it clearer, cleaner, easier to understand. You imagine someone hearing it for the first time. What would confuse them? What would help them? You shorten the sentences. You add one example. You remove one unnecessary phrase. You read it out loud quietly to yourself, testing the sound. Then you read it again, slower, imagining the client listening. You make 2 more small changes. Finally, you send the new version to Daniel. A few minutes later, he returns to your desk with the printed version in his hand. He looks at it, then at you. "This is good," he says softly. "Very natural. Very clear. Let's use this version." You feel your heart warm with pride. You helped shape the presentation. Even if it's a small part, it matters. You matter. The morning continues peacefully. You help Sarah prepare a short list of key points. You listen to small conversations around you, practicing your English without even thinking about it. You write 1 or 2 emails. You check a document for clarity. Everything feels normal, calm, steady. And then, around noon, the unexpected happens again. Laura, the manager, approaches your desk. She looks calm but serious. She holds a small folder and says, "Do you have a minute?" You stand and follow her to a quiet corner near the meeting room. She opens the folder and shows you a short script for the introduction of the presentation. "Daniel will do most of this," she explains, "but I want you to help us check the flow. Does it sound natural? Does it feel too long?" You read the short script slowly. It's clear, but one sentence feels a little confusing. You point to it gently. "Maybe this part can be simpler," you say softly. She reads the sentence again, nods, and says, "Yes, you're right." She crosses it out and rewrites it. Then she looks at you with a subtle but warm expression. "Thank you." And you feel proud again. A quiet, gentle pride that grows inside you like a small flame. After lunch, the team gathers in the small meeting room to rehearse the presentation. You sit near the wall, notebook in hand, watching and listening closely. Daniel begins speaking, practicing the introduction. His voice is steady, smooth, professional. You listen carefully to his tone, his rhythm, his pauses. You try to understand not just the words, but the feeling behind them. When he pauses to breathe, Sarah takes over and explains the progress update. She speaks clearly, slowly, confidently. You admire the calm strength in her voice. Then Daniel reads the section you rewrote, your section. Hearing your words spoken out loud in a real presentation makes something inside you feel incredibly warm. You stay quiet, but inside your heart is shining. They finish the rehearsal and ask you softly, "Did everything sound clear?" You offer 2 small suggestions, one about a long sentence, one about a phrase that feels too fast. They listen. They adjust. They thank you. And you realize something important. Your voice, even when quiet, is being heard. When the presentation begins in the afternoon, you sit in the back of the room. You are not speaking. You are not presenting. But you are part of the team fully, truly, quietly. The client appears on the screen. They greet everyone. Daniel starts speaking. You listen closely, following every word, every idea. You understand almost everything. When you don't understand something, you listen for the key idea and let the rest go. You feel calm. You feel steady. Your breathing stays slow and soft. Then the moment arrives, the part you rewrote. Daniel reads it with confidence, clarity, and warmth. The client nods on the screen. They smile. They say, "That explanation was very clear. Thank you." And even though you say nothing, even though no one knows that you wrote those sentences, you feel the praise gently inside you, like a small blanket wrapped around your heart. As the presentation continues, you listen, analyze, observe, learn. You watch how Daniel answers questions. You watch how Sarah clarifies points. You watch how the team supports one another with small nods, small signals, small smiles. You feel like you are part of a living rhythm, part of a moving team. When the presentation ends, the client says, "Thank you for the clear update," and then the call disconnects. Silence fills the room for a moment, a soft, peaceful silence. Then everyone exhales at the same time. Sarah laughs. Michael smiles. Laura nods with satisfaction. Daniel turns to you and says, "We did it. All of us." And hearing those words, you feel your heart swell with quiet pride. When you return to your desk, your hands feel warm and slightly shaky, not from fear, but from excitement. You helped with a real presentation. You added value. You contributed. You were part of something important. And the feeling stays with you for the rest of the afternoon like gentle sunlight. As the workday ends and you step outside into the cool evening air, you feel different, more confident, more connected, more capable. You think about the presentation, about your small but meaningful contributions, and you whisper to yourself, "I belong here." And for the first time, you truly believe it. As you walk home, the world feels calm and open, as if whispering that more good things are coming. You know you still have a long way to go. You know you will face harder challenges. But you also know something you didn't know before today. You can stand in the room, listen, help, and be part of something bigger than yourself. And that realization is powerful. This is your journey with Mr. English Lab, and today you discovered your quiet strength, the strength to contribute, support, and grow in a real workplace environment. Thank you so much for joining today's lesson here at Mr. English Lab. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below telling me what you want to learn next. Your support helps the channel grow and helps me create more lessons for you. Take care, keep practicing, and I'll see you in the next class.